I think companies like Jalapeno, which is who...
they're quite good, whereas some other... Love Film, or one of them is terrible.
Love Film, I think the issue with... Jalapeno was great in the sense that they don't cost for encoding, they will encode your film for you, but I think the also problem is the same sense is that if you're going into it as an independent and unknown filmmaker, you're essentially charging people to watch your film when they're just like, well, hang on a minute, 4AD over here. Granted, it's not the perfect place. 4D doesn't play on Max, which is what I don't use, but you've got, right, I'm fighting against a whole world of content online, as we all know, and even high quality content that you're fighting against to raise profile. I think the best people to look at the moment, who I'm excited by, is people like Babelgum and Juice, which is using that sort of advertise-based model, which profiles your film and gets it out to people online, and then you don't have to necessarily worry about a lot of those costs. And if, as an independent filmmaker, you can build up a community of, say, of X amount of independent filmmaker, go to these people and say, right, we've got a whole wealth of content that we can offer you over 12 months. This is fresh content that will be rejuvenated each month. I think those are far better deals at the moment than to be doing with companies like Love Film and with Juice, or with Jalapeno, if you're in a known, because you're offering it to your community, you're offering it to your audience for free, and it's not them that are bearing the brunt of the cost, the cost is you, but you still get money back from advertising revenue, whether it's successful or not.
And I think to expand on that, if you're getting ad revenue from giving your film away for free, it's not necessarily just on YouTube or MySpace, it's on your own website. It can be on hundreds of websites if you want. So if you think that you've got 100 websites out there with people paying 7p per view, you're reaching a much wider audience that way. I think you've got to, I'm all for giving it away for free in the long run.
The problem is as well, it's not. It's the established advisors as well. Who there's a kind of inertia there at the moment. We've got a project which we think is perfect for the internet. We know it can be done online because we've got evidence to show. We know it can work, but we need to go to accountants. We need to go to brokers, and it's amazing because they still don't. They don't get it. They're having to be persuaded. What do you mean? Our awareness is far greater than theirs on these issues alone. They're very good at what they do. There's no doubt, but they just don't understand internet distribution still, and so that's a problem as well. So you can have something that instinctually can work, because we know how the internet works, but the advisors that you could assemble around you, I'm not talking about film, I'm talking about accountants, and they're just incredibly risk averse, and they just think, no, we can't see how that works. You say, well, it will, because look at this.
There's the research.
Yeah. That's right. And so it's who you talk to again. It's just free yourself of the shackles of what we know at the moment, and just talk to the people who understand the internet, because they're the one. Otherwise, you're leaning against a spin. We're trying to shoehorn what we know into this new medium, and it doesn't work, because this new medium allows you to engage with people in a totally different way. So what we know doesn't work. And when you think about what I'm guilty of this. You try to think, well, hang on, what if we did that on the internet? And what you're trying to do is put your established model online. Well, that just doesn't. That can't work. Ultimately, it can't work. I'm not saying I know what the answer is, but you know that it's going to be different. So don't waste your effort or your marketing spend on what we know. I would spend my marketing spend on new media techniques for better, or I would just do it because that's where it's headed.
And that's what this is. I think that's what this whole debate is all about. Really, is those new techniques, some of which some people, not many, really know back to front, and a lot of people are slowly learning, and a lot of accountants need to be convinced. But if the internet is going to be used effectively to promote films, short films or feature films, it's got to be, I think, through that creative, taking a leap into the future sort of approach. Because the internet, I think, can be the most amazing vehicle for promoting film, but it's got to be used creatively and in ways that we yet can't quite.
And I think talking in the film industry, I think filmmakers have to be really brave. I was laughing earlier about. At the AFM, the Americans, the panel discussions were generally hosted by the kind of big guys, and they didn't mention self-distribution. One little person who was connected to Blair Witch did, and the guy hosting it said, well, what do you think, Bob, if the internet takes off? And it was like the most but you kind of think in America they've got so much, that's a whole nother debate about whether it's actually Warner Brothers stopping things because, they can control the entire industry from America, and why hasn't Warner Brothers got a site where you can go on and watch a film and pay £9 to watch it at home instead of going to cinema? There's a strategy, I think, going on in America, sort of stopping it. Sorry.
One
wondered whether the panel, to any extent, has thought about technology platforms that are already there, like Xbox Live and PlayStation Network and Apple TV, and some of these new things. And these companies are really looking to try and get content to put out there to demonstrate what their systems are capable of, and to what extent those companies are coming into your field of view, or are they still outside of it?
Well, sorry, no, to jump in there. It's definitely in our field of view, but it just depends on which films we think best relate to those markets. Because as much as we can put things out on PlayStation, as much as we can do that, a lot of our titles as a distributor don't necessarily relate to them. And I think...
but do they come and talk to you?
They don't. Well, that's also the problem. Is
that what you're sort of asking as well?
Yes,
are they coming to you?
Do they come and talk to us?
To what extent do you have any relationship with those sorts of companies?
Those companies don't come to us because I think we've possibly had some communication with them, but not that I'm really fully aware of, because the content that they want, they know what's going to be targeted to their audiences. I think companies that come to us at the moment are people like BT and Virgin and some which are operating, say, electronic sell-through through set-top boxes, because they know they've got their demographic and what are their demographic watching. And I know that I've said this to the panel, one of those quotes that I've heard to death in my career is that whole idea of people like Amazon and the fact that they make the majority of their profit through films that aren't shelved in Waterstones. They make it on the long tail, they make it on books that no one else is shelving, which is why these other places like Apple and PlayStation, we'd love them to come and talk to us, but until these companies can see that our films would necessarily work on their platforms, I think they're very closed off. They want the 300s, they want Spider-Man, they want the big box office draws, they want not just that, but they want the cult films, they want Pan's Labyrinth, they don't want 3-hour silent documentaries, they don't necessarily want world cinema, even though there perhaps is room within, even scope within those markets to promote them. But definitely a lot of the ISPs come and talk to us, and a lot of the different sort of broadband and TV providers definitely do, because of course they say they're hungry for content, but also in the same sense the market's closing